Stew for Tuesday, and today I want to take a look at the two new Lake Champlain Barlows from traditionalpocketknives.com. Now, just as you can see, a few things that come in the box. There's a traditional pocket knives card with some other information on the back. A card about some new QSP penguins and Rosecraft blades. You should check out Rosecraft if you don't have any. They're excellent knives and they're really priced competitively. Hedgehog, another QSP, and these I'm not familiar with. Bexar and Rockwall, tactile exclusives. And the aircraft carrier, the Lake Champlain, along with the story on the back, which you could always pause that and read that if you like. Also in the box, you get a couple stickers. The one has the aircraft carrier on it, which is really neat. And then you also get this. I haven't opened it yet, but it looks like a Velcro patch. So that's pretty cool. I'll have to put that on something. This is the box that they come in. It says traditional pocket knives with a picture of the aircraft carrier on it and a larger picture on the back. And this is what the box looks like. It has a nice felt liner with the cutout for the knife, and it comes wrapped up in the plastic bag. So it's a very nice presentation and packaged really well. Now let's get on to taking a closer look at these knives. They come in two different patterns. This one is a sheep's foot, and they come in a variety of different handle materials. It could be all titanium or many different colors of carbon fiber. This one is called Halloween Night. This is Pacific Blue carbon fiber, and this is the clip point. Aren't they both just beautiful knives? The blade steel on these is M390, and they did a really good job on the heat treat. So go take a look at Duty's daggers. He did some tests. A few weeks ago, he did a test on a Jack Wolf knife, which the Jack Wolf's run S90V. And he did a pretty extensive cutting test on it, and it was still sharp at the end. It held a nice edge, although it definitely showed signs of dulling. You could see the difference in how it cut paper before the test and after the test. Then about a week ago, he did a cut test with one of these in M390. He did more cutting with this than he did with the Jack Wolf. And to me, at the end of the test, it looked like the Lake Champlain Barlow held a slightly better edge than the Jack Wolf, which is pretty impressive. So I know the maker for these is QSP, and they have done M390 right. Now, M390, when it's done right, I'll tell you, you're not going to notice a difference between these knives, between the Jack Wolf and S90V and these and M390. It's just not there. Any difference between them is going to be so fine and so minute out in the real world, you're not even going to be able to notice it or even tell it. So I wouldn't let the steel type influence your decision on buying one for the other. Buy the knife that you like. Okay, let's get a closer look at the size. All right, just so you have a little bit of a reference, I'll put the Jack Wolf back in here. This Jack Wolf knife is the same size as a Sodbuster. That's a Sodbuster Junior. Here is a Spyderco Mannix 2, which is the same size knife as a Paramilitary 2. So as you can see, if I put these on top of each other, they're a very similar sized knife. So that's what you're looking at. You're looking at a PM2 sized knife. Let's see what we have for a cutting edge. We have a cutting edge of 3 1/16 and a total blade length of 3 3/8. Let's check out the sheep's foot. Same thing, cutting edge about 3 3/16 and the total blade length maybe 3 5/16. Handle. You're looking at a handle that's 4 3/16 and width up at the front by the bolster is about 3/4 of an inch, and at the back is about an inch. That's one of the things that I really like about these knives is the handle. It's a nice big handle. It fills the hand. When you do work with these things, it's very comfortable. The handle does not get tiring and it does not get fatiguing. That aids in having proper control over the knife, and it lessens your chances of slipping and having an accident while you're using the knife. So I really like these handles. I've been carrying this knife for the past week, along with a modern folder. Is this Chris Reeve on. This is a Magna Cut with a Tanto blade. So as you can see, it's still a little bit bigger than the Lake Champlain Barlow. So how do you choose which one of these? Well, if you're like me and you carry another knife, choose a blade style that's complementary to what you do carry. For example, if I'm carrying this Tanto, I'm going to carry something that has some belly on it. I don't need another utility blade because this secondary point here works perfect for utility cutting. I also always have a Leatherman on me. And this blade is also excellent for utility cutting. So I don't need this one when I'm carrying these other knives. So this is the one to carry. And I'll put it in a leather slip and drop it in my left pocket. So I've been using this one quite a bit. It's opened some packages and broke down some boxes. It hasn't done anything really heavy yet, but it's still on the factory edge. After a week, I haven't even stropped it. I've done nothing to it. So these knives have been just a pleasure to use. Out of all the different single-bladed traditional knives, these are my favorite. I would carry those any day over this Jack Wolf or any of the other Jack Wolfs. But then again, I like a little bit larger knife. I've been wishing that the Jack Wolfs were larger. Now for the price difference, Jack Wolfs typically come in at around $300. The Lake Champlain Barlows come in at $200, no matter what kind of cover material you get, whether it's solid titanium or all the different colors of carbon fiber. So it's a much better value. What you don't get is the fancy packaging. You don't get the metal tin that it comes in. You don't get the artwork. You don't get the leather slip with it. So you're minus some of that fancy stuff. But the knife is what's important. This is a better deal. And on these, I had points. I also had some credit card points and a $5 discount code, which I think was from Big Red's EDC. So these knives for me ended up being 2 for the price of 1. So I can't complain about that, having these knives for $200. If you haven't looked at these, I would highly recommend you take a look. I know the different flavors of them are selling out fast, and I'm sure they'll be back in stock later on. But these are excellent knives. If you like a modern traditional, you like traditionals, but you want a better blade steel, you want screw together construction that if necessary the knife can be disassembled and maintained or fixed. You want a modern cover material, lighter weight, for example like the carbon fiber and the titanium versus heavier weight brass and stainless steel. This is where it's at. These have become my go-to knives as far as single-bladed traditionals. Forget the case sod busters. Forget any of the other single-bladed knives. Rough Rider Reserve makes some. These are so far ahead. You have the blade steel is so much better. The grinds are nice and thin. It's a hollow grind, and they come nice and thin behind the edge, just like what the Jack Wolfs come. Let's take a look at the fit and finish of these knives. First, we'll look at the clip point. Everything is nice and smooth. I can't find any flaws on this. It's perfect. Take a look at the centering, the walk and talk. Watch the knife snap into the half stop. These can be pinched very easily. You don't actually have to use the nail nick, which gives you a nice slot on each side, which really facilitates the pinch. Now let's take a look at the other one. Again, perfectly smooth. And the centering, just everything is absolute perfection. This one sticks up a little farther, so it's even easier for pinch grip. Really nice walk and talk. It hits the half stop hard. Now, these knives don't use a traditional kick. If you can see right down inside there, you'll see a pin. These use a stop pin instead of a kick. It doesn't really matter which way the knife is implemented, whether it's a stop pin or your standard kick. What matters is that it's implemented correctly. If it's implemented correctly, you will not have any blade wrap. I mean, I've gotten several case knives and several Rough Riders that have blade wrap. Or when you close the blade, it'll hit. There's a spot in there. You see a little raised spot right here. That's where the pin is that holds the spring in the middle, where it pivots. That part right there that's raised up, that's the normal spot that you'll get blade wrap. And you'll see there's a little bit of damage on your edge. Everything on these Barlows is done to perfection. You know, this is the same level as a Jack Wolf knife. They're done just as well as this. But where these are even slightly better, so if you feel in here, on the Jack Wolf, you'll feel a little bit of sharpness. Same thing on some of the corners. These, everything is rounded over, everything is smoothed and chamfered. This is how you do a knife. I would overall rate these ever so slightly better than the Jack Wolf in fit and finish. And I know people really rave about the Jack Wolfs, but that's how finely these knives are done. I'll give another report on these probably in a month or two after they've had a lot more pocket time and have done a lot more work. So this is just an initial first look. Don't take this as a review of the knives, because I haven't tested them for a long period of time yet. But as a first look, these things are amazing. The steel is really, really good. I don't see there being any problems, and I don't see me not giving these knives a glowing report after another month or two. I've had the Ohio River Jacks for probably a good 6 months or so. They're in M390, and those have been phenomenal. And I expect nothing less of these. These are actually even better. They're a little bit bigger handle, newer materials. This is what I wanted the Ohio River Jacks to be, and this was what I wanted out of Jack Wolf knives. So it is great to finally have a company that delivers a product that I've been looking for a long time in a traditional pocket knife. We'll see you next time.